What if I told you that your silence right now is louder than anything you could ever say to her? That while you sit in the quiet, healing in the dark, she's the one lying awake panicking. Not because you yelled, not because you begged, but because you didn't, because you stayed silent. And the silence of a man who once gave his all, that hits harder than any words. Let me ask you something. Why does silence bother people so much? Why do they squirm when you're calm instead of chaotic? Because silence forces them to face themselves. It makes them hear their own guilt echo in the room. And in your silence, she has to sit with hers. Here's the truth. Women expect men to chase, to plead, to perform after heartbreak. They've seen it before. It's the script they're used to. You break the script, you break her expectations. And when expectations break, panic takes their place. She's not panicking because you're gone. She's panicking because she can't read you. She doesn't know what you're thinking, if you're hurting, if you even care. And nothing tortures a person more than not knowing. This is where Stoicism meets dark psychology. It's not about games, it's about control. Control over yourself, over your emotions, over your energy. You're not reacting because you've evolved past that. Your silence is not retreat, it's recalibration. You're not chasing, you're choosing. You're choosing peace over pettiness, healing over hurting, power over performance. You might still feel the pain, but you're not letting it be seen. And that right there is what gives you the upper hand. See a man who feels deeply but doesn't fold. That man becomes a mystery, and mystery creates gravity. Now she's pulled toward you, not because of what you say, but because of what you don't. This channel isn't for weak hearts or broken spirits who want to stay broken. This is for men who are ready to master themselves, who are tired of begging to be understood, tired of chasing validation, and done explaining their worth. If you're done letting your pain define you, if you're ready to become untouchable, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I release what I cannot control. Now let's silence screams, loudest begin. Number 1, silence screams loudest. Silence is not just a lack of words, it's a psychological mirror. It reflects everything back at the person who hurt you. When you say nothing, she's left alone with her choices, her behavior, and the consequences. And that reflection, that's where the panic begins. Because now there's no one to blame, no argument to distract her, no drama to drown in, just the raw truth. You're gone, and she doesn't know what that means. Understand this. Most people are addicted to control, especially when they've been able to pull strings in past relationships. When you were expressive, reactive, vulnerable, she knew what to expect. But now you flip the script. You're not posting sad quotes, you're not liking her stories, you're not fighting for closure, you've disappeared. And in that disappearance, you've become something she can't predict, something she can't control. And that's terrifying, because silence from a man who used to care signals one of two things, and both are dangerous to her ego. Either you've outgrown the situation completely, or you've become so emotionally disciplined that even if you're hurting, you won't let her see it. And to someone who thought they had emotional leverage over you, that's the ultimate loss of power. She expected noise, she expected begging, bargaining, tears. Instead, you gave her presence through absence. You gave her mental chaos through calm detachment. And every day you stay silent. You break the cycle that most men fall into. You're not chasing. You're not proving your worth. You're not explaining your side. Because the truth is, when someone knows they hurt you and you still choose silence, they start to question. Why? Was he stronger than I thought? Did he realize I wasn't worth the energy? Has he found someone better? Is he already over me? That internal noise she's hearing, that's not you yelling. It's your silence echoing loudly repeatedly. And it's louder than any argument you could have had. Stoicism isn't just about not reacting. It's about knowing when to speak and when to let your absence speak for you. And right now your absence is the most powerful message you could ever send. Not out of spite, not out of ego, but out of self-respect. You're not trying to win her back. You're reminding yourself you never needed to be lost in the first place. If you're done explaining yourself to people who never listened, if you're ready to let your silence do the talking, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I release what I cannot control. Number 2. She's not used to losing. She's not used to losing. Here's the truth that most won't say out loud. She expected you to fall apart. She expected you to crawl back to chase, to compete with the ghost of the guy she replaced you with, because deep down, she believed she held the power. And while maybe she did, But then something happened that she didn't plan for. You didn't break. You didn't beg. You went silent. You went inward. And now she's rattled. She's not used to men who walk away without needing closure. She's used to being the one who decides when it's really over. But now you've taken that power from her. Not by force, not with manipulation, but with discipline, with restraint. You see, women who are used to being chased don't know what to do when the chasing stops. When the energy shifts, when the man they thought would never leave vanishes into stillness. And that silence, that calm detachment, it puts her in a position she's rarely been in. The losing side, she starts to think, wait, did I mess up? Was he stronger than I thought? Why does he seem fine? Now she's the one who's confused. She's the one who's checking your page. She's the one who feels the void where your energy used to be. This is dark psychology at work. You flip the dynamic. When someone is used to being the prize but suddenly feels like they lost something valuable, they start to unravel. And here's where Stoicism becomes your shield. Because you're not doing this to get her back, you're doing this to get you back. You're not reacting to her confusion, her mixed signals, her silence. You're not biting the bait because you're not in her emotional loop anymore. You're out. And that freedom, that's what terrifies her. She's not used to losing, but she just did. And the worst part for her, you're not even gloating about it. You're not flaunting a rebound. You're not flexing online. You're just gone. And that quiet confidence, that unbothered aura, that's what keeps her up at night. If you're done being anyone's backup plan, if you're ready to be the man who doesn't chase because he chooses, then hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I do not chase, I attract by detachment. Number 3, emotions make you predictable. 3 emotions make you predictable. Every time you react emotionally, you become predictable. And predictable men are easy to manipulate. When you wear your heart on your sleeve for someone who weaponizes it, you hand them the manual on how to break you. You tell them exactly where to press, when to twist, how to get under your skin. That's not strength, that's submission. Disguised as vulnerability. Let me be clear. Your emotions aren't the enemy, but letting them control your actions, that's where you lose. You text because you miss her. You call because you're angry. You post because you want her to see what she lost. Every move becomes about her. She's no longer just someone you used to love. She's become the center of your emotional universe. And now you orbit around her, hoping she notices your pain. Spoiler, she does, and she's not impressed. She's in control. Not because she's stronger, but because she's colder. Now flip that. Imagine you stop giving her signals. You don't post. You don't respond. You don't explode. You just exist. Calm, focused, detached. That's power. That's when she starts to feel uncertain, because now she can't read you. And if she can't read you, she can't control you. This is where Stoicism becomes lethal. You feel the emotion, but you don't act on it. You acknowledge the chaos, but you don't feed it. That doesn't make you cold. It makes you dangerous in the best way. A man who can sit in his pain without broadcasting. It is a man no one can break because there's nothing to grab onto. No weakness to exploit, just silence, purpose, and presence. This is how you become the storm. She didn't see coming. You stop playing the role of the emotional puppet. You cut the strings, and now she's left, wondering what happened, why you're not reaching out, why you seem okay, why you become a version of yourself. She never expected and can't ignore. If you're done letting your emotions write your story, if you're ready to be unreadable and unshakable, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. Control is my 4th. Pain is power, if you use it. Superpower number 4. Pain is power, if you use it. Let's get something straight. Pain doesn't destroy you. It exposes you. It shows you what's real, who's real. And more importantly, it gives you a choice. Stay broken or build something with the pieces. Most men waste their pain trying to get back what broke them. They chase apologies, explanations, closure. Nope. That pain she caused, that betrayal, that silence, that moment, you realize she never cared the way you did. That's not a dead end, that's fuel. Use it. Let it push you to become so focused, so unbothered, that the version of you she knew becomes a memory. And the version you become haunts her because she expected you to fold. She expected you to be stuck. She never expected the heartbreak to make you better, stronger, sharper, more focused than you've ever been. Now that pain she caused, it's paying dividends. You're in the gym, you're on your grind, you're reading, learning, building quietly, consistently, without trying to prove anything to her or anyone else. That's where dark psychology kicks in. When she sees you thriving without her, it shatters the illusion she had that you needed her to feel whole. She expected to watch you crumble. Instead, she's watching you rise, and not just rise. Rise without saying a word. No, look at me now, posts, no petty revenge, just elevation. That silence mixed with progress. That's a psychological nuke. Stoicism teaches us not to run from pain, but to use it to hold it, sit with it, learn from it. Pain is a signal. It tells you something isn't right. But instead of chasing what hurt you, you take that pain and you build. You evolve. You become so locked in that one day you wake up and realize you don't even think about her anymore. That scar, it became a badge. That loss, it became your leverage. If you're done using pain as a crutch, if you're ready to use it as your fuel, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. My pain builds my power. Number 5. The 5. The illusion of replacement. Illusion of replacement. She thought you could be replaced, that someone else could step in, fill your space, and make her forget. That's the biggest lie people tell themselves after they lose something real. But here's what she didn't count on. You weren't just another guy. You weren't average. You brought depth, patience, consistency. You showed up. You gave her what most men can't even fake for more than a month. And now she's realizing that the world is full of options, but real connection, real presence, that's rare. See, in the beginning, she might look like she's thriving. New guy, new pics, new posts. But replacements don't heal wounds. They distract from them. And distractions fade. The highs die down. The surface starts to crack. And when it does, she'll look back. Not because she misses attention. Not because she wants validation, but because she'll realize you were different. She might not say it. Pride won't let her, but she'll feel it. When her texts feel empty. When the new guy doesn't understand her silence like you did. When the jokes fall flat. When she realizes attention isn't the same as connection. That's when regret creeps in. Not because she wants you back, but because she lost something real, trying to chase something easy. And this is where your silence becomes your strength again. Because you're not out here competing. You're not stalking her page. You're not reacting to the games. You've elevated past that. You know who you are now. You've done the work. And when a man becomes irreplaceable, he never has to prove it. She just learns it the hard way. Stoicism isn't about revenge. It's about self-awareness, about knowing your worth so deeply that you don't flinch when someone else doesn't. Because the man who can walk away without needing to be understood is the man who can't be replaced. If you're done being compared to cheap imitations, if you know your value can't be copied, hit that like button. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I am not replaceable, I am rare. Number 6, rebuild 6. Rebuild? Without announcing it, without announcing it. The strongest move you'll ever make is rebuilding in silence. No posts, no updates, no thirst traps or cryptic quotes. Just work, just progress, just presence. Because the man who truly levels up doesn't need the world to clap for him, he becomes undeniable, quietly, relentlessly. She expects to see signs that you're hurting, that you're stuck. She checks your story, hoping to see something, anything that proves she still lives in your head. But when she finds nothing, when there's no digital breadcrumb, no emotional leak, no reaction, that's when the silence starts screaming again. And this time, it's not just silence, it's progress wrapped in mystery. Here's the power play most men miss. Stop performing, stop showing your healing. Let her wonder, let her assume. The less she knows, the more she thinks. Because a man who disappears after heartbreak and re-emerges 10 times better, that man becomes legend. And legends don't need to explain themselves. They're felt, they're watched, they're remembered. Dark psychology teaches this. Unpredictability breeds obsession. When someone doesn't know where you are, emotionally, they start to obsessively search for clues. And the absence of those clues becomes louder than anything you could post. Now she's scrolling, checking, waiting, and every time she doesn't see you, that's another brick in the wall of your comeback. A silent stoic ascent she can't interrupt and can't ignore. Stoicism isn't passive, it's deliberate. You rebuild not because you want to make her jealous, but because you finally remembered who you are, and you don't owe anyone a preview of that. She lost access not just to your time, but to your progress. if you're done performing for people who aren't clapping for you, if you're ready to build in silence and return on your own terms, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. My growth needs no 7. Her mind becomes the battlefield audience. Number 7, her mind becomes the battlefield. When you go silent, her mind becomes the war zone, and you don't even have to show up to win. You're not arguing. You're not defending yourself. You're not sending emotional essays at midnight. You're just gone. And now she's stuck fighting shadows, imagining conversations that never happened, replaying every word she said to you, obsessing over why you haven't cracked. You've heard the saying, the absence of answers creates more questions. That's what you've done. You've removed yourself as the source of drama and emotion, and now she has nothing to push against, nothing to feed off. She expected to feel in control. Instead, she feels confused, and that confusion, it eats at her, because now everything becomes a question mark. Is he over me? Is he seeing someone? Why hasn't he said anything? Did I really lose him? That's dark psychology in its purest form, making your presence felt through absence. Because when someone expects a war and gets a wall of silence, their own mind becomes the enemy. They start to spiral to overthink. And the longer you stay silent, the louder their thoughts get. You didn't say a word, but you triggered every insecurity she thought she buried. Stoicism gives you the upper hand because it trains you not to need the last word. You don't chase closure. You are the closure. You become the moment. She realizes she underestimated you. And the beauty of it, you're not trying to hurt her. You're simply refusing to play a losing game. You're choosing clarity, solitude, and healing over chaos. So now she's left fighting with herself because she thought she knew you. She thought you'd be predictable, but now you've become a question. She can't answer, and a man she can't reach. If you're done being someone's emotional punching bag, if you're ready to let your silence shift, the power hit. That like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. My silence is my 8th. Detachment makes you magnetic strategy. Number 8, detachment makes you magnetic. Want to know the real secret to becoming unforgettable? Detachment. Not bitterness, not resentment, just clean, calm detachment. When a man detaches emotionally, not because he doesn't care, but because he chooses peace over chaos, he becomes magnetic. That's when the tables turn. She doesn't miss you when you're emotional. She doesn't crave the version of you that begged, argued, chased. Nope. She starts missing you when she feels the distance, when she realizes you don't need her anymore. You've stopped giving energy to someone who drained it. And that shift, that subtle, powerful shift, it changes everything. Now she's confused because you were once Alan Hart on your sleeve ride or die, and suddenly you're unfazed. You're not reacting. You're not checking in. You've gone from emotionally invested to emotionally unavailable. And not in a toxic way, but in a way that says, I've outgrown this version of me. You've reclaimed your emotional currency, and she feels the deficit. She feels it in the silence and the lack of attention, in the fact that you don't rise to the bait anymore. And here's the twist. Now you are the one who's unpredictable. Now you are the one with the upper hand. Detachment is attractive because it shows control. It shows growth. And most of all, it shows that your life isn't revolving around her anymore, that you've centered yourself. When she realizes your world is no longer orbiting around her, that's when the gravity shifts. And suddenly, the man she thought she left behind becomes the one she can't stop thinking about. Stoicism teaches you to love without attachment, to give without losing yourself, and to walk away when your peace is compromised. That's power. That's presence. And the craziest part, you don't have to say a word. Your detachment speaks volumes. If you're done tying your peace to someone else's chaos, if you're ready to become magnetic through discipline, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and 9. The comeback is internal, comment below. I attract by letting go. Number 9, the comeback is internal. The most powerful comeback isn't loud, it's not posted, it's not shown off. It's internal. It's the peace you feel when you no longer flinch at her name. It's the strength in knowing you're no longer emotionally tied to someone who didn't value you. It's when you stop living in reaction and start moving with purpose. You don't need revenge. You don't need to prove you're better off. You are better off. Not because of what she did, but because of how you responded to it. You didn't spiral. You didn't lose yourself, trying to win her back. You turned inward. You rebuilt. You faced your pain, processed it, and let it shape you instead of destroy you. That's the comeback that matters. The one no one sees coming because it's happening under the surface. She might still think she holds space in your mind, that maybe somewhere deep down, you're still hurting. But she has no idea, because now when she crosses your mind, it's calm, no anger, no desire, just clarity. She's a chapter, not the story. And that shift, that internal evolution, that's the comeback she never expected. Dark psychology says, the most haunting thing to an ex is realizing they no longer have emotional influence over you. That nothing they do moves you, that you're just free. You don't flinch when you see her name. You don't react to her subtle reach-outs. You don't take the bait because she's not your weakness anymore. She's your past and stoicism. It's not about pretending you don't feel. It's about learning not to be ruled by those feelings. It's about finding your center again. And once you do, you realize you never needed closure from her. You needed reconnection with yourself. If you're done measuring your healing by what they see and ready to let your internal peace speak for itself, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. My piece 10, you never needed her to begin with, is my comeback. Number 10, you never needed her to begin with. Here's the final truth, the one that hits the hardest, once the silence has settled and the emotions fade. You never needed her, you just forgot who you were. You thought she completed you, but all she really did was reflect the parts of you that you hadn't owned yet. The love, the attention, the validation you gave so freely. It wasn't because you were weak, it was because you hadn't realized the strength already inside you. She didn't make you whole. You were whole before she arrived, and you'll be whole long after she's gone. That's what this journey has revealed. Not just who she really was, but who you really are. A man who can feel pain and still stand tall. A man who can lose something he thought he couldn't live without and come back stronger, colder, clearer, unshaken. The version of you that clung to her, that needed answers, that sought closure, that version is gone. And in its place, a man who knows himself, who chooses silence over chaos, purpose over pain, peace over attention. That's the man she never saw coming. That's the man she can't forget. You see, it was never about her, it was always about you. She was just the trigger, not the source. And now, every silent step you take forward is a reminder. You never needed saving. You needed solitude, you needed clarity, you needed this. And now that you found it, there's no going back. This is Stoicism at its core. Self-reliance, emotional mastery, detachment from what you cannot control, and full commitment to what you can yourself. You don't chase, you don't react, you don't beg, you become. And in becoming, you realize she wasn't the blessing. The break was, if you're done searching for what you already had within you, if you're ready to stand fully in your own power, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I was always enough. Stay silent, stay focused, stay stoic. This is Stoic Pathways.